Hello everyone, Vic here with another video talking about the Halloween franchise. Today it's going to be more of a relaxed, chill video. I want to talk about some what-if scenarios in the Halloween franchise. Now, I want to credit YouTube user Brian Weaver 33 on my Theories of Halloween video from about a month ago. He posed a list of questions, what-if scenarios, and I'm going to try to address those today. It's going to be more of a fun, chill, laid-back Halloween discussion video. In the comments, you guys, if you like, please leave more what-if scenarios that you'd like me to address. And in the future, I will theorize, discuss anything you guys post there. So, the Halloween franchise has spanned, what, at this point, damn near almost 50 years we're going on. So, we have the 50-year anniversary coming up pretty soon. So, of course, with that many movies, that long time period, there's a lot of things to wonder about, a lot of what-if scenarios. So let's go through a few here. So the first thing was, let's see, what if Michael Myers was in Halloween 3 Season of the Witch? Well, technically he was in Season of the Witch because they showed the Halloween movie on the television. So he wasn't there in physical form, but because the Halloween movie exists in that universe as a movie, we do get to see Michael Myers on screen there technically. But okay, but what if he was actually in the movie? Well, it's tricky because are we saying what if Halloween 3 is a Michael Myers story, or are we saying that what if they actually try to incorporate Michael into the Silver Shamrock story from Halloween 3? I'm going to go ahead and say right off the bat, I don't think there's a proper way to put Michael into the Silver Shamrock story. So, what would you do with Halloween 3 if you had actually brought Michael Myers back? Well, honestly, for Halloween 3, at that point, you couldn't get Jamie Lee Curtis back because after Halloween 2, she had already famously came out and said that Halloween 2 is going to be the end of her doing horror movies for a while. She wanted to branch off and do other things. So you're not going to continue with the Laurie Strode character. So do you basically just do Halloween 4 as Halloween 3? Well, you probably don't do the 10-year time jump, so maybe not. I would say, very simply, you have Michael still escape from the fire of Halloween 2. So he's not like in a 10-year coma. He escaped that night and they went, it's kind of like Halloween H2O says, he escaped, you weren't able to find him. And then you bring back a younger, more spry Dr. Loomis. Dr. Loomis, I think, would have returned to the series, Donald Pleasance, if you showed him a decent script like he felt with Halloween 4. So basically some kind of Dr. Loomis story, but I don't think it involves Jamie Lloyd. I think it's just something more in the immediate aftermath of part 2, maybe a year later after part 2. Loomis is hot in the trails with a new character trying to find Michael. But I don't think there's a way to put Michael into the Silver Shamrock story. Now, what would have been the box office? Would that have saved the box office of Halloween 3 if Michael Myers was in it? I don't think so because surprisingly, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, really didn't make that much more money than Halloween 3. There's a huge disconnect where there's a narrative that Halloween 3 tanked the franchise box office wise, and then Halloween 4 was some big return to grace, like a big gotcha moment of like, see, we brought back Michael, now it's the right move. It did better than Halloween 3, but it wasn't something crazy. It made a few $1,000,000 more than Halloween 3. So I don't know if Halloween 3 with Michael sets the box office on fire, but one thing in its advantage is that Halloween 3 with Michael would have came out more during the peak of the slasher craze. Like, you talk about like 1982, 1983, 1984, slashers are still in vogue there, but by the time you got to Halloween 4, 1988, slashers were still big, but they were kind of on the way out. As the 80s waned down, slashers were starting to not do as well. So maybe it does actually have a better box office, but better he wasn't in part 3 because then we wouldn't have got Return of Michael Myers, part 4, which is my favorite sequel. So I'm happy he wasn't in part 3. And also, I do like Halloween 3 a lot, as is. Okay, next what if? What if in Halloween 4, Michael Myers kept the bandaged look from Halloween 4? Well, you know, it's kind of like Jason having the sack on in Halloween 2. It kind of stands out. Now, it's never really held against Jason because we have so many movies with him having the mask, so We're kind of okay with that look in Friday the 13th Part 2. But for Michael Myers to keep the bandage look in Halloween 4, I don't think it works. I think that because we didn't get that, people now in hindsight say, oh, yeah, it would have been nice just to keep the bandage look. It was badass. It is, but let's be honest. Michael Myers is about that mask. So it would have been kind of odd to have two movies with the mask and then suddenly he doesn't have the mask. Um, from a marketing standpoint, Michael Myers and Halloween 4 is establishing him as like the franchise. Like, okay, we brought him back because we don't want to do like a standalone, anthology sequels. Michael Myers is the franchise. We want him to be a Jason like figure, a Freddy like figure. These franchises are all about the villain becomes the face of the franchise. So having the bandage look would have kind of thrown that off. At that point, you have Freddy has his iconic look by 1988. Jason is well established now with the mask, the hockey mask. So you need Michael to be an iconic figure also, and to do that, he has to have the mask. So I think that the bandage look, appearance wise, it would look cool, but in terms of what it means for the franchise, it would have somewhat taken away from the overall building Michael up to be an icon, or his iconic status would have been a little bit lessened if he's not a if he doesn't have the mask. So I think that it would have worked because a cool look. It would have been still a good movie. But I think that it wouldn't have stuck. I think that part 5 they still would have found a way to bring back the mask because that's what makes Michael who he is. Okay, the next one. What if Halloween 5 wasn't rushed into production? Well, famously, Halloween 4 did well enough that they immediately jumped into production of Halloween 5. And Halloween 5 does feel rushed. It does feel like there's some writing plot holes in that movie that doesn't make sense because it was rushed into production. So, what if they had taken their time with Halloween 5? Well, I think you probably get a better opening sequence, a better explanation for Michael coming back to life instead of him just like washing up on shore to a hermit's house who takes care of him for a year. I know they had this alternate opening with Dr. Death, or Dr. Doom, I think. No, I think it's Dr. Death. They should have kept that opening for sure. But if it wasn't rushed into production, the one downside is that because you're focusing on Jamie Lloyd, doing part 5 as quick as possible allowed you to have the same Jamie Lloyd. Daniel Harris, basically the same age, the same character. If you wait a couple of years, Daniel Harris ages a little bit, and you kind of have to do something different with the story. Now, Halloween 5, for my money, would have been better off if they went with the Jamie Lloyd is the killer thing, because it would have been a very interesting movie. But again, at this point in the franchise, Michael is the icon. Michael Myers is the franchise, so they had to bring back Michael Myers. So I think you probably get a better, more focused Halloween 5 if it's not rushed into production. You have to do something different with the story because if Jamie Lloyd is aged a couple years later, you really can't pick up where Halloween 4 left off. You have to have a time jump. Would have been a better movie though? You want to say yes, but then you think about the idea that Halloween 6 wasn't rushed into production. That had the 6-year time gap. It came out in 1995 after Halloween 5 was 1989. And with 6 years, even though I'm a huge fan of Halloween Curse of Michael Myers, we can all admit that the story, the script for Halloween 6 was pretty silly. So I don't know if you get necessarily a much better script by waiting. But probably you do get a better Halloween 5 overall, I'd say. Okay. What if we got evil Jamie Lloyd in Halloween 5? Well, actually, I did a whole video about that. It's in the archives. It's basically all about what would the story be if we went with Jamie Lloyd as a killer. So check in that video if you want to get more details. But basically, I would do a time jump with Jamie Lloyd being college aged. She comes back to Haddonfield. She attacks Rachel Crothers and Rachel Crothers' fiance, and starts killing people. And pretty much there's no Michael in my Halloween 5. So, okay. What if Daniel Harris reprised her role as Jamie Lloyd in Halloween 6? Okay, This is very, very, very interesting to me because they were talking about putting her in the movie. So there was a chance that she was going to be in Halloween 6. I think that if you keep the exact same script and you put Daniel Harris into the movie, I think you have to do more with her character than what we see. I don't think she gets killed off in the opening if it's Daniel Harris. I think if you have Daniel Harris available and on board, they probably find a way to keep. Maybe they still kill off the character of Jamie Lloyd, but I think they might find a way to keep her alive, and they may actually stretch her screen time all the way to the end of the movie. And I think if you did keep the same thing with her getting killed in the opening with Daniel Harris, I think that fans would have hated it even more than they hate it now, because we already feel like the character of Jamie Lloyd gets such a damn terrible ending in Halloween 6. But to see that happen to actual Daniel Harris in Halloween 6 would have been, I think, I think it would have been a hard sell for the audience to see the same actress we grew up with from Halloween 4 and Halloween 5 and get that ending in Halloween 6. So I think if you get her on board, you cast her, you have her available, I think probably they find a way to give her a bigger role in Halloween 6. They probably, in my opinion, change the script to incorporate her more into the movie. Um, it would have been a better movie with Daniel Harris, I think, for sure. Although I don't think the actress that took over did a particularly bad job. It's just it's jarring to see the character treated that way, and it's jarring to see a new actress take up the role. So, okay, what if both cuts of Halloween 6 were combined into one film? Well, there are people online who have made that cut. There's versions of that have been done. You just have to kind of scrounge around for it, maybe DM some people, but you can find people that have done that. And my idea is that if you do that, you have to rescore it for sure because the theatrical has that weird sort of soundtrack, that weird sort of score mix, the seizure-inducing super jump cuts, guitar riffs, and the producer's cut has the more traditional Halloween score. So you have to square that. You have to get the score for both things on the same page. But is it overall a better movie to combine them together? I think so because I think generally, in my opinion, I like the first half of the producer's cut, but then I like the second half of the theatrical. I like the theatrical's ending better. I like the action-packed chase sequence there. Michael running after a victim, the whole hospital scene massacre with him taking out the Cult of Thorn and giving a more powerful message of Michael can't be controlled. So I'd want to keep the whole ending of the theatrical, but I think the first half of the producer's cut is better, more logically coherent than the end. We actually do get Daniel Hare or Jamie Lloyd's character lasting a little bit longer, still given kind of a shitty ending, but at least not killed in the very opening. So I think overall, probably that is a better movie than either version if you combine them together. Okay. What if Halloween H2O 20 years later got the mask right and had Alan Harworth compose the score? Okay. Everybody hates the mask in Halloween H2O, or let's say the multiple mask in Halloween H2O. And also, people really don't like Chris Duran's performance either. I'm actually, when I watch Halloween H2O, I acknowledge the mask shows way too much eyes. Like, I don't want to see Michael's eyes like that intently. I don't want to see his facial expressions when Laurie Strode knees him in the well, whatever. But so I agree the mask is a down point for sure. And in the opening sequence of H2O, he actually does have the Curse of Michael Myers mask, and it looks really good. Like on Chris Durand, it looks like damn near like Curse of Michael Myers Michael. So if you would have kept that the entire movie, I think it does raise the standings of H2O amongst the hardcore fans. I don't think the casual fans really cared that much about Michael Myers' mask. They just said, "Hey, that's Michael." They don't really analyze the Michael Myers performance. But amongst hardcore fans, the mask makes a big difference. But I think that with the mask they have now, Halloween H2O was still a pretty big hit box office wise. I think nothing changes. but on rewatches and just the overall standings, you would get a better rewatchability, a better standing of H2O for the hardcore fans, and certainly with a better score because a lot of people feel like, well, I think actually it is remnants of the Scream score, so it gives that Scream feel, as a lot of people say. So a better score, a better mask, probably does raise Halloween H2O up to the next level. In fact, when I think about H2O versus Halloween 2018, one of the only things that Halloween 2018 does better than H2O, in my opinion, is the performance of Michael Myers and the mask. So, Halloween 2018 fans, they may come on board with the idea that H2O is better than Halloween 2018 if you gave Halloween H2O an amazing mask and a better score. So, that would have been very interesting to see. I would have liked that. Okay. What if Halloween Resurrection took place in Smith Grove's. Okay. What if Halloween Resurrection took place in Smith Grove Sanitarium? Well, let's see. Halloween Resurrection in Smith Grove. So I assume for that, maybe we're thinking that we have Jamie Lee Curtis back for the full movie. Like the same idea that she's there, she's been committed, and now Michael comes to the hospital. We can get kind of a retelling of Halloween 2 where Michael takes out the hospital staff and is after Laurie, and Laurie maybe can have her son John come visit and he gets involved. So just depends on what you do with the franchise at the point, what you do with the story. A full movie at Smith's Grove would have been interesting, I think. I would have liked to see that, but I think you have to finish the What if Halloween Resurrection came out today? Would it be a better made film? Yeah, absolutely, surely, because that that storyline about the reality TV show style thing with the miniature cameras, and that probably would be better done because enough has been done with that genre that you can just the bad parts about the genre have kind of been weeded out now, so you know what works and what doesn't work. Whereas it's actually kind of more experimental back in 2001 2002. So no question you could have made a better movie today with today's technology with that. So let's see. What if the first half of Rob Zombie's Halloween was cut from the film? More specifically, the white trash backstory. Well, a common complaint about Rob Zombie's Halloween is that we get too much background on Michael Myers, that Michael Myers is better left served without the background. We want him just to be the personification of evil. So for Halloween purists, I think that you would probably dig Michael Myers more if you change the beginning of Rob. You would dig Rob Zombie's Halloween more if you change the beginning to not have the more generic serial killer background. But some people do like the opening scenes of Rob Zombie's Halloween also, so I don't know if that would have made any big difference. Um, Now, I will say that um, I would personally have had the entire movie take place once you get to child Michael in the hospital with Loomis. I would have had the rest of the movie just play out with their experience, and I would not have gone into like the whole remaking part one as the second half of the film territory. So, all right, let's see. What if we got the version of Laurie Strode that we got in Halloween Ends, but in Halloween 2018? Well, I think that would have made sense. Someone else has pointed that out, but the way Laurie is in Halloween Ends is how she should have been in Halloween 2018, and the way she is in 2018 is how she should have been in Halloween Ends. So that makes perfect sense to me. Have her open up in Halloween 2018 as like happy go lucky, has moved on with her life, has a house, bakes cakes, and then have the events of Halloween 2018 turn her into Sarah Connor now at the compound. Would have made for a more natural character progression, and I think that one of the reasons I enjoy Halloween H2O, Laurie's presentation, is that it feels like a better, more realistic path her character would take. Whereas Halloween 2018 through Halloween Ends feels like a ridiculous arc for her character that doesn't make sense to me. Um, what if we got a full on chasing in Halloween 2018 between Michael and Allison instead of the Dr. Sartain plot twist? This is actually spot on. When Allison sees Michael with the fence between them, and that's awesome score from 2018 from John Carpenter kicks in. You see Allison running. That feels like we're about to get probably the most epic damn chase scene in the world, and then just nothing happens. There's no Michael behind her. Um, I just don't understand that if you're David Gordon Green and the writers, and you are making a point to bring back the Halloween franchise, you're supposedly huge fans of the Halloween franchise. How do you miss the appeal and love of the chase scene? Like, Halloween fans love chase scenes. We love the whole chase sequence of part one. We love the chase sequence of part two. Like, we're fans of the chase scene. It's what makes Michael Michael. It separates him from a lot of the other horror icons. So they had the perfect opportunity, and you still have the same story beats you could hit because Michael can chase Allison all the way through the woods, all the way to Laurie's compound, and you don't need the stupid Sartain plot twist because now Michael has a reason to end up at the compound. It was just him chasing Allison. So we could have got an amazing chase sequence there, but it was a missed opportunity, so it is what it is. What if we didn't have god awful Evil Dies Tonight chants and the hospital mob scenes and Halloween Kills? No question about it. If you remove the entire middle part, mob scenes, Evil Dies Tonight aspect of Halloween Kills, it's a much, much better movie. With Laurie sidelined in the hospital, I guess they felt a need to fill in the runtime with a subplot, but they went with the most annoying subplot that didn't make sense. The whole sequence of the them getting the wrong Michael, that guy dying, that felt like completely out of place in a Halloween film. That felt like we were suddenly watching a different movie, and it brings the entire movie to a screeching halt. And even from a rewatchability standpoint, if I watch Halloween Kills again, I just want to skip that entire sequence. So just doing nothing else and removing that entire sequence, I think the movie actually goes up big time. And Evil Dies Tonight. Who thought it was a good idea to keep repeating that throughout the movie? It's just ridiculous. Just dumb shit. Okay. What if Corey Cunningham was introduced in Halloween Kills? Again, it makes the entire franchise better if Corey is a side character in Halloween 2018 or a minor character in Halloween Kills. It just gives us some connective tissue for Halloween Ends. Halloween Ends is kind of jarring just because for the last part of a trilogy to be introduced to a new character that suddenly is our main character. It's just a weird way to do the last part of a trilogy, but could have been much more organic and accepted by audiences if we meet Corey in Halloween 2018 or Halloween Kills. But they were writing that trilogy by the seat of their pants. They wrote Halloween 2018. They supposedly had a brief, like an idea of like what they want to do with the sequel, but then the pandemic happened, and instead of doing everything on one night, they were like, we're going to do this time jump of 4 years. But clearly, Halloween Ends was its own separate thing with no planning ahead of time. So, and that's why watching the trilogy as three movies back to back, it just doesn't hold up, in my opinion, as a trilogy. Um, what if Karen Nelson died at the beginning of Halloween Ends? Better, and proves everything, because we get more of Laurie's reaction then. So take the ending of Halloween Ends or Halloween Kills, where Karen's dead, and make that the opening sequence of Halloween Ends. I think that does. I think it improves everything. I think it. But although, if you do that, then Laurie's characterization of Halloween Ends makes less sense. If you show her daughter die at the beginning, then you can't cut to her baking cookies and baking cakes and being happy-go-lucky. She has to be a much more serious, traumatized character at the beginning of Halloween Ends. Then, okay. What if Michael Myers infected Allison with his evil instead of Corey? Um, yep, that makes a better movie because we know Allison through Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. So having that connective tissue, having some emotional investment there to see her turn evil would have immediately improved Halloween Ends. And then Laurie faced with a choice of having to kill her daughter, her the one person she wants to protect is the person who now is becoming what she hates, which is Michael Myers. But if you go that route, I would have left Michael Myers completely out of the movie. I would not have had Michael Myers in Halloween Ends. I would have just had it been organically Allison slowly becoming evil. That would have made a much more interesting movie for sure. Um, What if Corey died in the second half of the film instead of stealing Michael's mask in the cave? I don't think Corey should have died in Halloween Ends. I think that they should have left the movie with a shot of Corey's eyes opening. And even if you're not continuing this timeline, just the idea that Michael took 6 shots in the first one, and the idea that the evil does do something to you to make you almost like inhuman. I think that pays off if Corey's still alive at the end of Halloween Ends. Let's see. What if Allison got locked up at Smiths Grove Sanatorium at the end of Halloween Ends? Bittersweet ending, but at that point they're going for a happy ending. So you want Lori, having lost her daughter, to at least now get to enjoy life with her granddaughter. So knowing it's the end of a trilogy, I don't think that would have been the right ending for that. All right, let's see. What if Michael Myers wasn't weak in Halloween Ends? Well, he shouldn't have been weak in Halloween Ends because by their own mythology, the more he kills, the more powerful he gets. So after killing the mob and then killing Karen at the end of Halloween Kills, he should be super powerful in Halloween Ends. He should be completely rejuvenated. Instead, he's a shell of his former self, getting bullied by Corey the sewer. So just him being stronger meant we would have not got that embarrassing sequence in the sewer with him and Corey. But then if he is weaker, we really don't need the Corey storyline. We just have Michael come back and kill everybody, which in hindsight would have made Halloween Ends a better movie. So you do get a better movie. What if Michael killed Cameron right in front of his father, Lonnie, and Allison in Halloween Kills? I think Halloween Kills did a good job with the death of Cameron. And there's no reason for Lonnie to see his son get killed. I think they handled that well, and he does get killed in front of Allison, so she does see that. Let's see here. Ooh, this is interesting. What if Laurie Strode died in Halloween Kills instead of Karen? Wow. Bold move that would have been. Would have been very, very interesting. Obviously, then Halloween Ends is more about Karen and Allison versus Michael. But impossible because the Laurie Strode character is made more important than she is because Jamie Lee Curtis became a big star. That's just the bottom line of the franchise. H2O, this new trilogy, setting Laurie Strode as like this epic all-time final girl. It's mainly, in my opinion, because Jamie Lee Curtis became a big star. Dr. Loomis is still the main protagonist of the series, but box office wise, they were going to milk Jamie Lee Curtis's box office power in any movie she would agree to be in, they were going to do it. So they weren't going to make a story choice to eliminate the big box office draw there. I think we got pretty much everything. There's a few Rob Zombie questions, but because I'm coming out with a huge review of the 2 Rob Zombie movies, I'm going to hold off on those questions till maybe after I do those reviews. Let's see. I think that is pretty much it from what I'm seeing. What if Hawkins and Laurie were engaged in Halloween Ends? I wouldn't care. I didn't have any interest in their romantic storyline. Hawkins, in my opinion, died in Halloween 2018. He got stabbed and they ran over his body, so that was a huge retcon for him back in Halloween Kills. And then it doesn't really go anywhere. Like, what the hell? Like, the whole opening sequence of Halloween Kills about him mistakenly shooting his cop friend. That doesn't pay itself off in any way. Like, what the hell? Hawkins really is not featured in the rest of the trilogy, so why? That's just bad writing. It's fine. Okay. Yeah, I think that's everything. So, folks, if you have any other questions, thoughts about the Halloween franchise that you want me to dive into, please let me know. And also, if there's any other franchise you want me to dive into, let me know. Later in the year, I'm gonna do a lot of Nightmare on Elm Street stuff, but I'm waiting because there's a rumor that there's a 4K collection coming out of the Nightmare on Elm Street series, so I'm waiting for that. And I'm gonna dive in the Nightmare series, and probably at some point soon we'll also get into more some Friday 13th stuff as well. The next in the Halloween series, though, is gonna be Rob Zombie's Halloween. Will be the next couple things I cover. So, as always, if you like this video, please subscribe, and until next time, you guys take care.